Hello, this video is about dimension slippage. I keep slipping in and out of dimensions, I have done for decades, and I finally might have gotten some proof. Where shall I begin? I'll just begin with the possible proof, actually. It's a little tree that used to be near me. It was blown over a few days ago by high winds caused by heavy chemtrailing, and I managed to catch it being removed. Managed to catch the last evidence of it being removed because I heard the chainsaws, and I thought the council were cutting trees again a lot. They cut them too much, in my opinion, and in the opinion of some other people who live in my area. And I thought I'd make a video about it and put it online again, because I've made several such videos, and I thought I'd do that this time as well. But when I looked out the window and saw it being removed, two things occurred to me. The first was, oh my God, they're removing the tree. They're actually removing it, so I'm losing a whole tree, not just branches. They keep lopping so many branches off. The second thing that occurred to me was, oh my God, I did mean to film that tree, and they're removing the last evidence of it. So anyway, I did manage to catch film that it existed at all. I'll put a link to that in the video description. Just click on the title and you'll be able to read the drop-down description. So yeah, this tree anyway would appear and be there for weeks or days or months at a time, and then not be there for weeks or days or months at a time. It had been put in around about a year to 18 months ago, and had grown quite well. And I'm sad that I was surprised that it actually fell over at all. Maybe it's God telling me to finally make this video or something. Other trees that had been put in just literally about a month ago, quite nearby, subject to the same winds, I would have thought. I guess not, though. Being in a slightly different location, about 40 feet away on the other side of the road, hadn't blown down, although they wouldn't have gotten their roots in anything like as well. But this one did. It blew down, although it had about 18 months to get its roots in, and seemed to have gotten quite thicker and stronger. So maybe it was God telling me to finally make this video. But anyway, I finally got around to it. So I did manage to capture that the tree actually existed. Anyway, I also have proof that it wasn't there just a few days before, because I was being psychically attacked by a man in a car at that time, and noticed it as I was on my way to go shopping, actually. Noticed it, and I thought I'd film him. And in doing so, I accidentally filmed the same spot where the tree was filmed a few days later. But as you can see in that video, which was taken just a few days earlier, the spot does not contain the tree at that time. It's a bare spot. There are two possibilities. One is that after I filmed the vacant spot, the treeless spot, a tree was put in and blown down the next day. And the other possibility is that, or a couple of days later, I mean after I filmed that there was no tree there, so 1 or 2 days later it would have been blown down. Because I stayed in for a couple of days, so I can't confirm whether or not a tree was put in over that time, and that was the one that was blown down. But I do actually think it was the same tree that keeps appearing and disappearing. My motive for thinking that it was the same tree that has been appearing and disappearing for a year or more, since a few months after it was put in, is that it was the tree which I filmed, which I'll show you, which I'll link my video evidence to, was the same size, species, size and species of the tree that kept appearing and disappearing, and was in the same location. So that's why I think it was the same tree. I'm going to try and check with Campden Council and see whether or not. I want to lower my voice now because my neighbours listen to me. I get psychic harassment and general harassment from my neighbours. And the window's open, so they're probably listening to me. In fact, I know they are because I can hear them out there. I'll try and ascertain whether or not they put a tree in during those 2 days, but I think it's unlikely. The tree looked exactly the same, was the same size and species, and I went down and actually filmed the men removing it, and they said it had blown over. I said, why are you cutting this tree down? Because I love trees. I didn't want them to remove it, and they said it had blown over. I wish I'd kept it. I wish I'd kept that film. I also wish I'd kept a distinguishing mark on the tree as well. I kept footage of that. I wish I'd taken footage of that. I don't remember. I've only thought to, because people kept vandalising the trees that they put in there and pulling them over and stuff and breaking their branches. And so somebody finally lost it and ended up putting a belt around the tree and chains, as if that would help. If vandals wanted to wreck it, they'd just push it over anyway. But it looked psychopathically dangerous enough to make anyone who looked at it think that whoever had done that was going to get weird if that tree was damaged. So for that reason, I suppose, the tree was allowed to grow. But whoever put the chains on it didn't, and belt on it, didn't remove them as it grew, and it ended up with a mark around the bottom. So I removed the belt and chains, and but even when it healed, it still had a mark around the area where it had grown around the belt and was a bit sort of sore underneath, had been sore even after it healed, sore around under the belt and under where the belt was, and had healed. So it still had a mark there around the base, close to the base. If only I had thought to film that. Because by the time I got downstairs, the base of the tree was still there. If only I'd filmed it. But I'm sure it was the same tree. I just wish I had filmed that damage around the base of the tree, because that is a distinguishing mark. And not every little tree has damage circled around about 6 inches up from the base. So it would have been the same tree. It wouldn't have been a different tree put in just a couple of days earlier, since I had last filmed the vacant spot that had been blown down. It would have been the actual same tree. Anyway, I didn't think to do that, and all I got was footage of the men saying it had been blown over, and I thought, well, what use is that footage? So I took it off I cleared it from my phone to make room on my phone, you know, for other videos. Never mind. So that opportunity was missed, but I have got footage of it being destroyed. And so you can know it exists, and you can film that video that I made just a few days earlier, about 4 days before then, of the psychic attacker, in which I accidentally capture the vacant spot where the tree was not just a few days earlier. I'll put these links in the description, and you can view the videos. So yeah, it's rather strange that this stuff seems to occur, and it does. Like it'll make trouble for me repeatedly. I remember on one occasion I made an appointment with my dentist, and she gave me a card with her handwriting on it of the appointment. This has happened more than once at this dentist, actually. It's happened 2 or 3 times at this dentist. I must look like a complete idiot to them. Anyway, on one occasion I didn't lose the card. Twice I lost the card. On one occasion, the third time, I said to myself, I am not going to lose this card. So I actually showed it to her and said, look, here is your handwriting showing that I should turn up on this date at this time. And she just looked at it and said, no, no. And as if that was all the evidence she needed. Which I suppose it was to her, because it has been to other people as well. They have the evidence of their own eyes and can't dismiss it just because I'm telling them something different. So I could have actually should have kept that card, I suppose. But again, what would the card prove? They could just say I faked it myself, or that I had somehow made the wrong appointment. You know, or that I'd made that appointment and then made a separate appointment and got the cards mixed up or something. But I know that that was the right appointment that I was supposed to make. I was supposed to go to. And she just said, no, no. You know, so I look like a complete idiot to people when it's actually not my fault at all. She wrote that card out, and that was the time I was supposed to turn up. And at university as well, I would have arrangements made to meet for particular classes at particular times in particular places. And I'd turn up, say, half an hour late or 2 days late or 2 days early or something like that. And people would say, no, this is not the... No, 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 you know. And I'd just think, this is just completely mad. And if I was just half an hour late and I still caught the class, people would think... I'd say, this is the time we arranged. And they'd say, no, no. I'd say, oh, I'm sorry. I just think this is crazy. So they must have been thinking I was crazy too. And I'd just sit down and take the class anyway. But, I mean, you can imagine how hard it is having this happen all the time. And it does happen all the time. And when I say it to people like psychiatrists that I'm forced to see, which just doesn't happen regularly, fortunately, although they might like that, they would just call it insanity and want me to take medication for it, which I'm not going to do if I can possibly avoid it. And just refuse to consider that it happens. But it was particularly interesting with the tree, because the tree, you know, couldn't have been messing me around or lying or anything like that, because trees don't do that. So, or being stupid or made the wrong arrangements or anything, because trees don't do that. So I would stand sometimes and look at this tree and think to myself, or the absence of it, and think, I really must film this thing being there and not being there. You know, I don't think it was a magic tree that kept appearing and disappearing. I think I actually do slip in and out of different existences. It's like with newspapers. I will read a headline in the newspaper, and then a couple of days later, the exact story will happen again, and I will think, well, this is really stupid. How could it be happening? You know, I mean, I could start buying newspapers really regularly and video them every day and put them online to prove that the same story is happening at different times, like, provided my YouTube videos didn't dimension slip as well. Then I could prove that a story had happened 2 days earlier, and you could go to my YouTube videos and see the proof. But this would actually cost more than you would think, really, and take up an awful lot of time. And for somebody who's on benefits like me, like I am, it would be really just too expensive. For example, if you wanted to buy the papers every day, you'd pay about £1 per paper. You'd have to buy about, say, 5 papers a day. That's £5 a day in papers. £35 a week in newspapers. And it would just be impossible. It would also take up an awful lot of time people would have to keep checking through my videos all the time to see whether or not anything had actually happened. If I had found it, I'd have to check back on things myself to make sure I hadn't missed anything or hadn't missed videoing anything. It's just really strange. And it's just amazing. Yeah, one particular thing that keeps happening is I've read in papers about 5 different times of an accident occurring at a particular place that happens to a social worker and his family, and the whole family are killed. But each time it happens, I naturally think, that's so strange. It probably won't happen again, because what are the chances of it happening again? It's just so crazy. It's mad. But anyway, I mean, it's very strange, but it's just... Maybe I was supposed to get the evidence of such a thing happening and put it online to warn them so that they wouldn't suffer that accident the 5th time or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's just really strange. So anyway, I didn't, in the end, get the video of the tree being there and not being there, which is a real shame, because it was absolute proof. I mean, it would have been the same tree each time, being there and not being there at different times, for weeks or months at a time. I'm just going to have to, if such an opportunity presents itself again, make sure I take it. But at the moment, it's the best I can do. And as I say, it's possibly why I might seem mad or stupid or incompetent to some people, because it happens so often that they might just think I'm an idiot, you know. So I guess that's part of the reason why some people think so, or, you know, possibly do anyway. But if I get proof of it, maybe I won't look so strange in one way. I'll just look strange in another. But at least there'll be proof and there'll be something to go on, maybe. So, and why do I think this is happening? Well, because I get psychic attacks, I actually think that there are people who are in control of reality in ways that others are not. And they're misusing these abilities they have, or powers, scientific powers they have, or whatever it is they're using. And so what benefit do they get from it? Well, since what they do is psychic, I think some of the benefit they're getting is mental, emotional, stuff like that. Some people think the grey aliens, for example, are robots or biobots. If this is true, maybe some such beings see humans as a source of experiential abilities that they like to enjoy. Feelings that they haven't got, thoughts they haven't got. I think there's a film called Being John Malkovich, which is about someone being exploited in such a way. I haven't seen it, but I know it exists. I saw like trailers for it. You could try and find on YouTube something. Just check it out. You'll see what I mean. It's quite an interesting sounding film, but I haven't got the money for films or anything, you know. Everything costs money, and I haven't got the money for them. I can imagine what it's about anyway. So it's just what I've described, really. In case you're wondering what it's like to dimension merge or slip, it's completely normal. You don't sense anything whatsoever. You just think the world has gone dotty and that people are stupid and keep making mistakes and blaming you for them, because you know that you haven't done anything wrong and other people seem to have, when they seem to be getting appointments wrong and blaming you, things like that. They're actually probably thinking the same thing about you. And you're lucky if you come across something like that little tree. But I didn't make use of it when it was there for me to make use of, unfortunately. But it's completely undetectable. Completely undetectable. Those newspaper stories are a little bit more like time slips than dimension slips, but it's hard to say exactly what's going on. I do think there are some people or beings who are getting something out of being able to manipulate reality. Doesn't necessarily mean reality isn't real. It just means that it can be manipulated in ways we don't understand, possibly. So who would be doing this? Again, people who get something out of manipulating humans. Something out of enjoying other people's minds or emotions, or something like that. Do I think it's happening to other people? Only if they notice at least something strange happening. Otherwise, maybe it's happening to people who are driven mad by it, who find it too frustrating and end up getting angry and end up in prison for it, lose track of everything and just think they're a criminal, have a criminal life, and just generally lose it and forget all about it and hardly notice things and then forget them when they do. Or maybe people literally just lose control, think they're insane, allow people to make them take medication and so on. So the people who notice these things at all or have problems regarding them probably end up in mental hospitals or prison. Either that or they learn to keep quiet about them. I don't really want to keep quiet. First of all, because I find it fascinating. And I want to find out more about it and have it studied. And secondly, because I want to provide information that might be useful to anyone who wants to study it. Maybe they can detect something from what I've said, make sense of something I've said. But as I say, I do think that reality is real, but it's just somehow manipulated by beings who are getting something out of manipulating people, which includes things like psychic attack and which is just intrusive interactions with other people's aura, nervous system, and so on. And I don't know if they're human or not. Plenty of them live around me. I see them often, some of my neighbours, and as far as I can tell, they're completely human. I think there might be a way that they're, well, I don't really know, it's just crazy. It's the speculation that you can come up with without having evidence to really show. It starts to be more than people could really believe. So they just dismiss it and turn off. Yeah, I think I sometimes developed the ability to see into other dimensions, just in glimpses. But as soon as anyone notices that I've developed this ability, they just sort of pluck it from me, literally. It does seem to be visually related, and I can feel something kind of growing, like another eye, growing outside my own eyeball. But people will actually say to me twice, people in passing have actually said to me, oops, you can't have that eye. Literally. And I felt some little plucking away from my eye, of this eye that I'd been growing. And that was it. That ability was lost. And it was hard to inculcate, hard to engender, create, and took a couple of months to create, and was taken within seconds of me using it and actually being able to operate it. I could somehow see it once I was using it, and it was taken in seconds. So it's kind of off-putting. It stops me wanting to develop another one. I've also forgotten how to do it a little bit. It's kind of like the damage stops it being able to regrow somehow. Maybe it's subconsciously related to trauma or something like that. Stops me wanting to regrow it, I think, possibly. A bit of a disincentive. So these things are a bit difficult to explain or prove. But I do think there may be other dimensions which these people can go to easily. And oh yeah, one of the people who said, oh, you can't have that eye, said, you can't go there. Sort of like I might learn to go there. I think in other places, their behaviour in this place is not known. This place might not even be known. And they'd be in trouble if other places knew how they were behaving. But according to the Bible, they're going to be dealt with soon anyway. If you read Revelations at the end of the Bible, they're going to be dealt with soon anyway. All the signs in the heavens are that they're going to be dealt with soon anyway, and the signs on the earth. Increased volcanic activity, increased earthquake activity, for example. And the September 23rd, 2017 sign in the heavens, you could check that out. That's a once-ever celestial event, which people believe is significant, and I believe it's significant too. So I think they're going to be dealt with anyway. They just, I suppose, choose not to know, choose not to care. That's their own fault. It's their own decision. And you can try and get through to these people, as many people have done, as I have done. And you can pray for them, as the Bible says too, but they don't seem to listen. And they'll probably go to hell, or burn in the lake of fire, or whatever, forever. But in the meantime, I think the best thing to do is to pray and be good. Because if there's nothing else we can do, at least we can do that. So I will keep trying to figure this stuff out and make more videos about it. But out of interest. But the most important thing to do is to pray. So thanks for watching. Bye.